Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are excited to have you here for this session on topic that's quickly becoming impossible to ignore, AI invisibility and how it's quietly impacting brand visibility and revenue. I'm Rohit, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Let me start with a simple but powerful question. When someone asks AI platform like ChatGPT or Claude for a solution in your category, does your brand show up? Or does it get replaced by your competitor? Because what's changing right now is fundamental. Buyers are no longer just searching on Google, they are asking AI. And the critical shift is this decision are being influenced inside AI answers before a user even visits your website. So if your brand isn't being surfaced there, you are not even entering into consideration set. Now, most brands haven't built a strategy for this. They are still a lot hope that this will evolve or we will figure it out later. But the reality is this shift is already happening and the brands are act early will define how they are represented in AI driven decisions. That's how exactly what today's session is about. We are not just going to walk theory, we are going to show up live. What your customers are actually asking inside AI, how AI is interpreting and positioning your brand, where you are losing visibility and why, the most importantly, how to fix it with the structured approach. To take us through this, we have Ambika Sharma, founder of NeuroRank and Pulp Strategy. Ambika leads a team of strategists focused on helping brands build a strong digital presence and transform their sales, marketing, consumer engagement through the right use of technology. She's been the forefront of driving solution across the full spectrum, from strategy development and implementation to measurement, all with a clear focus on delivering long-term value of brands. With deep expertise in MarTech and AI-led growth, she's been closely working on helping business understand and adapt to how AI is reshaping visibility and decision making. Today, she will walk us through a live demo of NeuroRank and show how to diagnose and how fix AI visibility across platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity. Over to you, Ambika.
Thank you so much, Rohit. I hope everybody can see me. That's me. Just allow me to share my screen. And I'd actually love it if, you're able to unmute your mics. So in case you have a question, please go ahead and ask me. And I'm just going to bring this up. My presentation is divided into two. I'll walk you through the basics of GEO. What are the challenges being faced by brands today? Where are the gaps? And then I'll move towards the tool and actually do like a live demo, which you can join. So just give me a second. I have to find my screen and share it. Excellent. I'm hoping that my screen is visible to you all. I will go through this quickly. Please feel free to kind of either raise your hand or kind of ask a question. And yes, Michael. I see someone raise their hand.
Michael, you can unmute and you can ask your query.
Yeah, sorry, no question. I hit reaction by mistake. Thanks, guys.
No worries. No worries. So the platform, the brand is called NeuroRank. We've built it over, we actually launched it last June. And from last June to now, we've actually done, we've kind of onboarded 150 brands. We've had meetings with senior management brand teams. We have actually stress tested the platform and built in like a lot of crowdsourced features which brand teams actually wanted. So I'm pretty confident that you're gonna like what you see. And there's a lot of information. So like I said, please feel free to ask questions. We have filed patent accepted pending, you know how it goes. So very quickly, why are we here? Because search has changed. Customers are no longer browsing answers, looking, on Google. Yes, they are looking on Google. 25 to 30% of the total search has moved to AI models. That is huge. ChatGPT alone had like a billion plus queries. It's huge. There are four large AI models and quite a few smaller ones. We're addressing almost 99% of the market with NeuroRank. So how does this work? The customer asks a question on any of the AI models, ChatGPT, Gemini, including AI overviews for Google. Gemini includes that for us. Claude or Perplexity, because we're sitting in India, Perplexity is fairly large. The AI model then fans out, goes across the internet. This is for an organic query. I'll come to the paid query as well. Goes across the internet, first looks for the answer. Okay, so the first step is search. For example, ChatGPT runs on Bing. Google obviously is its own search engine. Perplexity uses other models to kind of layer on top of it. It's not actually an LLM model. So they go out, they search for the answer. Doesn't mean that they remember the answer, right? Then the customer asks a follow-up question. Here is where the memory kind of kicks in. Um, that is the time when the model is actually going to give information, compose the answer, and kind of let you know the information about the brand. All models behave differently. They have different algorithms. Um, I mean, there's more than enough said about the algorithms. The model comes back with a paragraph. Now, I want to highlight, if you're asking for a brand or a product recommendation, it usually gives you two or three directly recommended to you. Then it makes like a couple of suggestions sometime. Could be relevant, could not be relevant. Okay, I'll give you an example for India's top manufacturer of printers across the board. Um, I was doing a client demo a couple of weeks ago. I asked ChatGPT to recommend to me a textile printer. So something very interesting happened. Okay, so ChatGPT first asked me, why do you need a textile printer? You're not in the textile business, so logged in bias. Knows too much about me, is just kind of giving me recommendation based on what it knows, not necessarily based on what I asked. Then went on without me answering, went on and said, okay, you probably need it for swag, made a recommendation. Um, it wasn't the top printer in the category. It was what ChatGPT thought would be relevant for me. Knowing my business, obviously, because a lot of information is shared with AI models. So usually this is what happens. There are lots of biases which we don't realize. Okay, the things that make the AI models really interesting for us as consumers might be counterproductive for us as brands. There is a 79% plus drop in referral traffic. These are all research numbers, not mine. Globally acceptable. You'll see these numbers or may have already seen these numbers somewhere. Only 8% click on um, links, the citation links. It's a struggle currently for brands to get cited. It's not like they're not getting cited. We are getting cited for some queries, and we are also not getting cited for some queries. So, um, but only 8% click. 70% consumers go ahead and trust AI generated answers, which means that they might research further, but they will use the same AI model to research further. A lot of the consideration set is being built there. So this is organic research. I do want to take a minute and talk about how Google Ads are working now. Most of you, if you've seen the ad panel or talked to the agency or, are managing ads on your own or have team members managing it, you'll know that the query fan out system is already visible in your ad panels if it's not already visible, because it's kind of announced as of February. So it will be visible really, really soon. But most advertisers are already seeing this. You'll see. So how does this work? Exactly the same. It's important to know. You put up a query, you ask a question. This is for AI summaries. The query fans out. AI deconstructs. So I'll give you an example. I want the best face wash for oily skin. Okay. Or I want the best face wash. So now what is best? Earlier it was just a keyword and your link would pop up. Now Google or AI summary across models will do like a fan out. What does best mean? Best for oily skin, best for summers, best for winters, best for hydration, best for AHA, whatever, whatever. Then it will search whether this content in terms of best for all of this actually exists and where. Create like a concurrent retrieval across brands. Multiple searches will happen from memory as well as web search that Google actually does, and then it'll come back. Findings are synthesized. It will rank whatever ranking module it might have, what it thinks is the best answer for the best face wash. They give you 2, 3, 4 recommendations. Okay, so one conversational response. We haven't come to ads yet. So one conversational response. Now, based on the contextual information in that response. So let us say out of the 1,000 face wash brands out there, it has recommended 4 which it thinks is relevant. Now it will pick up the ads of the brands who are, bidding on best face wash for oily skin, that keyword, and also have that information in the model memory, or at least on the web destinations which are owned by them. So that is how the ad will be um, delivered to the consumer. So if I actually own a brand which is the real best face wash for oily skin, but I haven't done my homework in terms of optimization of content as per GEO, the likelihood of your brand actually ad actually showing up goes down. Now, how is this impacting budgets? Some of you would have already seen it. Advertisers are saying 30 to 40% higher costs in terms of search ads, especially the advertisers whose website content, information structure, all the structured data is not as per machine readable information. We'll go through that a little bit more. It's not as complex as it kind of sounds. Great. So answer engines now hold the decision layer. We've talked about organic, which is across engines, and we're talking about Google Ads right now. Fortunately for us, Meta Ads are not doing a query fan out currently. We don't know what is going to happen in the future, but currently it's a closed platform. So we don't have as many GEO challenges with Meta as that are huge with Google and the open system. Now the largest general purpose assistant here, which is ChatGPT, is most used in India. It's Gemini is very close, and Claude is the fastest growing. Perplexity is like an add-on kind of a model for most users. And we've kind of talked about how ChatGPT behaves and logged in biases and all of that. Now, across these 4 and independently, we our audit in NeuroRank addresses all 4 of these independently and also gives you a consolidated benchmarked report view, which will help you kind of make a decision as per your audience group. And it's possible for you to kind of choose one or all the models there. Now, AI visibility, as we know, is not rankings, because I think all of us here have used some AI model or at least use Google summaries. But this Venn diagram is kind of interesting. The little overlap in the middle is where is the ideal place to be. So does your brand actually appear? Which is very important. You could be the top seller in the category and maybe not appear on your top products. Fixes could be simple or complicated depending upon what the brand is. Most important, is it accurate? We've now audited almost 900 brands. We also released a research report. I'll come to how many issues there are in terms of hallucination. So what is a hallucination? A hallucination is AI looks at blue and calls it red. So if it doesn't find the information or the information is not readable by machines, it might be very obvious to us, but it's not readable by the model, it will lie. It will give incorrect information. That is one reason. Second reason is some YouTuber somewhere said something in his YouTube channel, and uh, consumer info always gets more than necessary preference in all AI information. So if there is one Reddit consumer who's cribbing about you, the likelihood of AI saying that people are cribbing about this function or people are cribbing about services is very, very highly likely there, and you might not be aware. So that could also be one of the hallucinations that are there. Sometimes brands overlap with other brand names. I'll give you an example. Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Allianz, which is now Bajaj Life. So much confusion. um, Not confusing for the brand, maybe not so much for the consumer, but for AI models, it's quite confusing because some old information is there, some new information is there. They can't read the entire website possibly properly. There are analysts which are saying different things. It goes to trust sources and it sees 4, 5, 10 types of uh, Bajaj branded brands, which might not be clear to it. So it'll come back saying also makes refrigerators, also gives housing loan, does not give housing loan. All of that confusion happens. It's a governance problem as well. Inaccurate information due to confusion, and there could be more reasons as well. The most important is that if you are visible, AI should not give incorrect information, causes a lot of confusion. Is AI actually recommending you as a product or a service or not? So a lot of times there are proactive follow-ups with AI. And as ChatGPT, Claude, other models get into advertising, this will become super important. And it's just around the corner. ChatGPT has been talking about advertising forever. And news or rumors, actually, not news, is that the model or system they'll use will be very close to query fan out, similar. So, anyways, when AI comes back and then says, my recommendation is if you are looking at X, you go for this brand. If you are looking at Y, then you go for this brand. Ask me, then follow up question. Do you want me to tell you more? So there's a follow up question. There are three things happening in this. It's identified the bias of the user, or whether it's logged in or not logged in from previous information or absolutely new information. It has made a recommendation based on its understanding and what it can read about the brand. So that's one. Is your brand recommended as a preferred recommendation or not? Second, it has asked a question. Should I tell you about this? Now, this is follow up. Normally, what happens is consumers say, okay, the brands which you are recommending, out of that, a follow up question happens. Almost 80% of the time, a follow up question happens on the recommendation which AI has made. Now, that means anybody who's not recommended or not visible in that answer is now outside of the consideration set also. So that is something that we worked on really hard to be able to solve with NeuroRank, identify these biases, and then work on how to be able to ensure that we are in the inclusion set and then the recommendation set. Where brands stand today, and this is out of 700 plus brands, 65 industries, meetings done with multiple stakeholders of a lot of these brands, and of course, consolidation in terms of big data analysis. So 68% brands are missing for some prompt or the other in shortlists in their own category. So not like a random search, in their region, in their category. The example which I gave you about the printer, for example, a global brand, very popular, number one selling printer in the country, and did not come into the shortlist. Um, Possibly because of readability issues. 52% brands have active hallucinations, fabricated fact, wrong parent companies, misattributed claims, um, some XYZ shop somewhere had an IT raid, name matches, AI starts claiming that XYZ had an IT raid. All of those things happened, right? 88% are impacted by cross-lingual errors or AI bias. Now, this is very important because in India, one, we are not very our technology hygiene is weak. I'm not being biased. It's just a fact. We don't do technical SEO. We kind of over the years we haven't revamped our websites. We've added pages. Half of us don't know whether the indexing of our page is correct unless somebody is doing SEO on that page. There are challenges, right? Most websites have challenges. I'm talking about after looking at 700 of these, I'm saying they have challenges, right? A large percentage. Also, we have regional press. So multilingual country, a lot of the content that consumers say are in different languages. We sitting mostly, I'm assuming we're in metros. We may not all be tracking all the languages, but AI is. So there are a lot of confusions which happen for Indian brands due to multiple reasons. 88% brands have challenges in India as compared to their global counterpart in the same industry. Again, after having audited 65 industries, multiple brands across Indian and global brands, my um, report was more focused on India, but for this section, for each of the industries, we also did audit a global brand, and we found that there is a bias or a preference there, apart from the other issues with brands in India that we kind of mentioned. So, and we are the fastest growing AI market, the largest AI market globally now. Sheer population, technology, cheap data, all of those things. 90% of brands in consumer categories have negative sentiment bias in AI summaries. I'll explain this. So, this includes large scale B2B brands, as well as, of course, direct consumer brands, B2C brands. Um, we all consumers, there's Reddit, there's Quora, there are forums, there was Twitter. Thankfully for us, Twitter is not indexed as much in AI for now, um, maybe for good reason. But there are consumers who have written different things. They've written in English, their English is not clear. So AI misreads it. They've actually complained about the brand or about an experience with that brand, maybe two consumers out of millions of consumers, but AI gives disproportional weightage to consumer sentiment, right? So all of that, and we are also aware that not all of us actively track consumer sentiment day on day. Like listening actually doesn't really happen; it's broken. So maybe we miss it, we haven't addressed it, and it's kind of lying unaddressed somewhere. So that's 90% of the brands out of 700 brands, and these are not small brands. They're like fairly large um, organizations. Almost all of them are large enterprise or mid enterprise across the country. So just letting you know the scale of the problem. Now, every one of the visibility failure falls into one of the four categories. This is a complex algorithm. It's patent pending, accepted but pending, which is omitted, which means so ORHL omitted, brand does not appear in the answer, visibility gap replaced. Brand should have been in that answer, for example, number one selling product, but a competitor is squatting there as a default recommendation or just squatting on that space. Hallucinated, incorrect facts, fabricated features, outdated pricing, the wrong link, US product shown in India, that kind of a thing. And zero leads, which means we go across prompts. If we see that you're not in at least 50% visibility in those answers, then which means that your overall data is compromised, and the follow-up questions that AI is asking is not about you. So, I mean, not you, about the brand. So, not about the brand. This means typically that when the consideration set of research happens after those proactive questions by AI, no citation tracking will come back to you. and the consumer has not kind of had a conversation with your brand, that is something the tool actively does. And I'll take you through that to let you know which links are being cited, where are the problem areas, and of course, at what level out of 5,000 queries, where were you, that kind of a thing. Knowing there's a problem is not the same as fixing it. It's a very vast universe. We cannot fix everything. We need to be able to figure out, okay, AI is not recommending me for this particular product. What are the 10 things that I can do so that it starts recommending me for this particular product? And most of us don't have the time for trial and error. Again, it has taken us almost 2 years to kind of reach very close to perfection in that algorithm. So mostly you'll get very, very easy information is how many mentions. You can actually do that manually. A lot of the big brands, it's so easy. You ask your entire sales team to open an incognito window. Don't log in. Give the same prompt. Get all that information. Do like a large volume. Ask the same prompt from 20 places in India 500 times, and you'll get enough volume to kind of figure out what's happening. But typically, there are hundreds of prompts, right? So visibility score is like a trend line. You have to keep working on what's important to you one by one, and you address it. And then there are some fixes which will kind of address the sidelines as well. But most tools kind of stop there. What we've done is ORHL classification. Every single source that you see cited, including competition benchmarking, exact fix this on your website. This is what's happening on Reddit. This is what's happening on LinkedIn. So all recommendations in one place, classified as must have, good to have, great to have. And then the tool will go and condition the model. This is the most interesting part of the tool. At this point, there isn't another tool in the world that will provide this. So, like search, traffic, the number of questions asked actually impact the rating or the ranking in SEO. Here, the more questions that are asked about the particular topic, AI then goes and fetches the new information, right? Now, if there is more volume than normal, then AI kind of refreshes that information at different gaps. So that's called the RAG layer. Different models have different RAG layer timings. Google is almost instant. Claude is actually 12 months. ChatGPT is 6 to 9 months. And Perplexity sometimes is instant and sometimes is up to 3 months. So it depends on that. What the prompting does is we have an agent swarm, goes out into the internet, acts as your consumer, uses VPNs, logs in like a consumer from different logins, goes and asks questions, the same prompt that you have actually done all the homework on, which the tool told you what to fix. Once that is done, the same questions are repeated, and this kind of accelerates the AI memory with new information. Right. So this is it sounds complex, but actually it's not. It's just large volume hitting the algorithm. Of course, it's completely legal. We work with all the APIs. Great. So NeuroRank will give you all of the steps. It diagnoses what is the problem, prescribes here is what to do to fix your problem, conditions with the regular influence, and then tracks what is the inclusion shift. How has your brand inclusion changed? So you are at 50%, now you're at 60, next month you could be at 70, and also tracks how your competition is growing. So I have a very clear visibility of what you need to be able to get. Like I said, deconstructs, diagnose, prescribe, condition, and track. So that's like the 5-step methodology around the entire tool in terms of the process. Okay, I'll walk you through this. Now I want to come to what are the parameters. So hardcore advertising, that is our background. So those are the techniques that we have used, tried and tested, still used by marketers. It's like Kotler. It's been kind of fed into the tool, made relevant for AI to kind of simplify it. How are we diagnosing this? First, we start with aided recall. The first set of queries that we do names your brand, captures all the answers, does follow-up questions, and then looks for accuracy, completeness, hallucination, biases, all of that, and we kind of capture that data. We capture that data by prompt and by query and by consumer, right? Then we have unaided recall, category prompts. For example, Royal Enfield is one of the audits that I'm going to show you for a different market. So, for example, Royal Enfield, right now it's looking at classic motorcycles, looking at vintage motorcycles. So without naming the brand, you start with motorcycles, overall category, subcategory, classic motorcycles, go across all of the prompt sections and capture all the citation links, the follow-up questions that the LLM has, so that we know where are the problem areas with each of those prompts. The unaided recall research that um, we do for brands like across marketing. What makes this different is every token is fresh. There is no logged in bias. There is actually no human bias of any kind. And there's analysis done on that data to be able to identify that in each of the prompts and the follow-up questions, what is it that the LLM models are actually saying at scale. So prompts are run like thousands, runs of thousands per prompt, right? It gives you a singular brand inclusion score per prompt also, and for your overall brand also, for each of the prompt clusters that you have. It's very simple. How many responses actually mention your brand? How many total prompts were executed? So let's say one prompt was executed 10,000 times. While all the data is captured, the citation links are also captured, and then they are ranked by frequency. You get to know whether you're being cited often enough or not. A lot of hard work and drudgery there, but basics are big data analysis, which it does. Now, there is a live forensic audit, which is a quick short audit, one single time, a brand intelligence report, basically meant for people, which is a lot of the folks, a lot of marketers who not started on GEO yet. You want to get a sense of the scale of the problem, right? It's quick, it goes across your product lines. It has a 10 section intelligence report. And because it's big data and there are tens of thousands of data points which have been collected during this audit, you can also talk to those data points and ask, right? So it's a one-time thing, very, very quick, like almost like a cup of coffee. It takes about the same time and about the same money. So you get your brand overview, you get your campaigns. I'll walk you through all of this as well for one of our clients. What is the perception of the market, including the sentiment that AI is giving? Is it being biased? Is it saying that, okay, this brand is great, but I think this will work better for you, which means you're basically dismissing that brand without and naming a competitor, right? So these kind of things. So it's getting the sentiment in order. It's giving you a competitive analysis across another five of your competitors. We've hard coded it to stop at five. Potentially could be more, but because this is like a tip of the iceberg thing, gives you all the search intelligence and the follow-up prompts, a certain segment of them, because this is again top of the iceberg. It gives you the actual sandbox of those prompts run and what are the instances where your brand was missing, the ORHL, the battle card, each of the parameters against your competitors, where is it that the brand is, gives a full content audit, gives a technical visibility audit, and then you can talk to your data with deep insights and you can download that dashboard report as well. So we worked on being able to make it understandable and easy to access and kind of incorporate for marketers per se. The second part of the model is the long-term model. It's the model preference engineering, where you can choose what you want to fix first, work on one or more LLMs, work on one or more prompt clusters, completely customized, and you can build that through. But what all does it do? So it gives you the entire keyword research by intent and by customer for the region which you choose. So that's very, very valuable. Why it gives you the keyword research is because when you need to write the content, the tool does not write or post content for you. A lot of the trusted signal markers don't even accept content which is like pure play AI agent written or posted. It's not possible. But it kind of, when you do need to write your content, you need to have that information. Not everybody has somebody handy to do 20 days of work to find the right keywords and classify 1,000 keywords by intent. So that the tool will do that for you. Of course, you're free to validate or do it by yourself as well. It captures all of the prompts and the follow-up questions and the citation links, also puts that by intent by your consumer, all queries, where it's brand, whether it's if consumers are actually asking those queries. So whether it's brand, whether it's investment, whether it is um, governance queries, whether it's legal queries, service, uh, all of that, right? So it just kind of captures all of that. The marketing team's role is to be able to choose which is the business specific set of clusters, or 1 or 2, 10, 20, whatever, that you want to start addressing first. You choose those clusters, and then it recommends what to do in each of those clusters. Where is the bad information coming from? What are the links which AI is trusting for your brand subset, which means you and your competition? So if it was a bank, for example, HDFC Bank, you'd see the tool would see where are the trusted sources for ICICI, SBI, and you get the drift. So it will list all of that down for you. If in case there is one consumer crying in some corner, most likely it will find that link and also share that with you to say, please fix it. These are the fixes that you need to do, etc., etc. So all the recommendations are there. The most important, I mean, for me, I always would want to kind of add my own on top of it. But if you just did that, your inclusion would be guaranteed. We've now tried it enough times. We've been at it for 2 years before, taking the tool public for self use. So it gives you the intelligence. So once you've done the fix, now this is very interesting. I would say particularly for senior team members who might have uh, younger people, fresher, juniors, actually doing the execution part of it. Maker, checker, governance. Tool tells you do all of this. You make a selection. Okay, out of these 20, let's do 18 or let's do 8. Once it is done, you go and say, okay, I have done this. The tool will go and see if the fix is actually correct, if it is done, if it is working for you. Working for you in the sense there should be the right structure, it should be the right content, it should be machine readable, there shouldn't be any technical gaps, it should be able to read the website, it should not have negative connotation, blah, blah, whatever else that it needs to do. It'll come back and it will tell you, okay, this is fine, or here are some of the suggestions. And then it starts the cluster conditioning, the RAG layer influence. So I think the maker checker governance, for us, especially since traditionally we are from an agency background, I think this is really, really helpful. Even if you were to give the tool to your agency, and we have a few lined up for that, but if you were to give this to your agency and just get like a client login, you'd be able to see where you're at. Or if you were an agency head, you'll be able to see whether, multiple brands, things are happening in the right direction. Why we thought this was important is because a lot of us started out with not knowing what to do to fix the problem, right? And there's a science to it. So there are 32 parameters for each of the information pieces, and it becomes like a waterfall of 2, 3, 4,000 parameters. Nobody needs to go through all of this. So it helps. And then it tracks your visibility month on month. So you chose one prompt, which is the best printer for home use in India or for students in India. And then you work on that prompt and you see the inclusion lift going up over the months, if and also your competition for that particular query. So you have absolutely clear. All of the dashboards are actually built. And now I'm just going to stop sharing and go straight to the tool. Lot of talking has happened, but let me know if my screen is visible. Okay. Excellent. So I'm on neurorank.ai. after your login. I'll just give you like a run of the dashboard. Um, this is the live forensic audit. We're going to the tip of the iceberg audit first. Most of our clients first go for this, and then they kind of take some time to decide what they want to do for their GEO. Whether they want their agency to run it, whether they want a consultant to govern it for them, whatever works, right? Everyone to his own. But this is the main dashboard, and underneath that, there are the different layers uh, that are there. Currently, we are talking about Mahindra Sustain. I've chosen two different brands for you because one is B2B and very niche, and one is like everybody knows a Royal Enfield. It's a very large market across countries, so that you get like a sense of both. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through this. Uh, there's a top dashboard. You can actually choose your country across all the countries. The audit will be done for that country. By default, most of the attendees are in India, so we've picked up like a brand out of India. But for Royal Enfield, I've specifically picked a European country, and so you get a sense of both and how things changed there. For a well-known brand, you'd maybe be able to relate better, and I'll be able to help with whatever answers that hopefully you might have. 39,000 destinations have been checked to do this audit, and you have 9 layers of intelligence, which is standard. Actually, all brands will get 9 layers because it's hard coded like that. The hallucination score for Mahindra Sustain is 62%, which means 62% of the queries were identified having bad information, which is not actually true, or biased in some way. It's a lie, or it's twisted that way. So it's not the absolute truth. Now, it's a Mahindra Group company. It's a massive brand. Obviously, a lot of you would know about Sustain. They are like at huge megawatts of power now, multiple projects, blah blah, Navratan company. And it's not something which they have done. Honestly, it's not the brand's fault. It's just that this is new, and it has to be fixed. Everybody has to fix it. People who don't fix it now are just going to suffer later, and it's an individual choice. So I've picked out the country. You know that all of now these are basically my API hits. Like I said, we work with enterprise APIs across models. So all of those are active. We are doing this for all 4 brands. You go here, you can identify by model. So if you see ChatGPT is at 85%, I'm just showing you how models are different. Gemini is at 89. Claude is surprisingly lower considering that it's not the latest refresh for Claude it doesn't kind of refresh its information so fast. Perplexity is bilkul poor. It's just like all over the place. Usually happens with brands that are not well digitally distributed. And I want to highlight, irrespective of how many posts you do on Instagram, it is not going to impact your GU. LLM tools do not look at Twitter, they do not look at Facebook, they do not look at Meta and a couple of the others. They do look at LinkedIn and Quora and Reddit are like Bibles and whatever. But in India, we are mostly focused on Instagram, right? All of our time in marketing is spent on making posts. So that is not impacting uh, this. I just kind of wanted to highlight. I will stay with the NeuroRank benchmark, but which is a combined synthesis of all of the information across the 4 models. And it has, of course, all the taxonomy built in. So does the other pieces of information, but just to give you a better idea, and you don't have to go by model. If you wanted to, you could. So if you have the deep insight that my customer uses more ChatGPT, less Gemini, go ahead, just read out, focus on that. When you export a report, it will come to you as a presentation, but you could just go ahead and take stuff out of the dashboard. This is the master dashboard. It has a synopsis of all of the 9 layers, and we'll go deep dive in the 9 layers as well. Brand inclusion score is 67%. This is the benchmark. It's average. Ideal would be above 80% for any brand. I have yet to see a brand reach 100%, right? Um, I'm not sure why. I don't have an answer to that, but no brand is at 100%. Somewhere or the other, something is missing. We think an 80% to 90% score is excellent. Again, I'm saying 700 brands audited, 700 marketing teams met, lot of analysis, almost 2 years, actually 13 months since the tool is live with us. We've kind of stress tested it to the maximum possible. That's what I'm saying. But if your benchmark is high and you want to get to 100, by all means, that attempt should be made. Now here, if you see, it's by engine. What is your brand inclusion? It gives a detailed calculation as well. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions as to how the calculation happens. All the formulas are given here. It's really, really transparent. Why should it matter to you or not matter to you is also mentioned. So this is brand inclusion, straightforward. Questions were asked. Um, this is aided recall. Did it get the correct information or not? Sentiment. Now, if you see, very interestingly, ChatGPT for Mahindra Sustain, inclusion is 51%, but Mahindra Group companies usually have a really good sentiment that they're doing a great job, and sentiment is 78%, which is very good. That tells us that the information is probably not readable, which is why there's so much of lack of inclusion, because AI just doesn't have the information. It's not available. It's a little closed door. Can't read it. Whatever may be the case, but sentiment is more or less good in Chat GPT. In Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, it's low. Again, that tells me that probably the readability of the information is not so great. Now we come to different parameters, right? Now these are the competition based on what the LLM model thinks. So we haven't put this competition. When we ask a category question and we say, okay, best companies for this in this region, it will give 4 or 5 options, or 10 options or 20 options. The top of those are what are shown here. Okay. And there are different brand parameters. What does AI think? Is this company innovative or not? There is a scoring. All companies are very large companies competing, which is really good. You have all of them: Jindal, Adani, Mahindra, Tata, L&T. So it's showing up really well. Was the recall really good? Not really good for Mahindra Sustain. Again, we are at a combined synthesis. This would change if you see it for different models. In terms of customer trust, again, it kind of goes up. Mahindra Sustain is doing fairly well. This is just the combined synthesis, doesn't change with the tabs. You have digital first in terms of information, thought leadership and leadership voice, and then prompt inclusion as to, where is it that you're at from a prompt inclusion kind of a perspective. And the aggregate is shown here. You'll have all of the information as to how to read this card, if there are questions, and then you obviously can go and deep dive as well. Then we come to the brand battle card. How many brands are kind of ahead of you? How many gaps were detected? Which are the critical issues? And it would give you information on each of the brands. Again, you can go and deep dive. Market perception for the location against a global benchmark, because perception is always benchmarked. So against a global benchmark, if you were to choose, let's say, Philippines as a market, it would audit in Philippines and again benchmark against global. So against global benchmark, score is not so high. Um, Again, I see readability issues, but it has picked up all the trust signals. What are the perceived strengths? What are the vulnerabilities? And the tool asks aided questions, but tell me what is wrong, tell me what is wrong. So vulnerabilities are also captured. And we have a content visibility audit overview. This tells me that the content as well as the technical visibility, the technical on the website not so great, which is probably the source of the problem, right? So this is an overall card. Now I'll go into one by one. Forensic visibility baseline. This is comprehensive across LLM engines. What you see here is fairly decent for the visibility. Now this is aided recall. So according to aided recall, there is a certain set of competition which is mentioned, and your brand would show up higher in aided recall because you're prompting the consumer. It's picked up the basic business model as a Bible. It has identified all of the trust signals. What are the core ones? So if you see anything missing here, you know what to add. If you have a certification, if you have an award, all of that should be a trusted signal, should be on the award website and also should be on your website. It's picked out all the citation links, including some conference and other things. So all the citation links. In this report, you'll not get 100%, right? Because it's a tip of the iceberg. But when you go to the um, other part, you'll be able to kind of figure out per prompt what the cited links are, and it's a dashboard that kind of picks up. Now, in terms of signals for sentiment, it's picked up some of the campaigns, World Bicycle Day, Cut the Crap, which is against or towards waste management. It's picked up all the formats which were detected, um, commissioning of projects, announcements, where all is it that it's gotten the information, and how wide is that reach for the campaigns, and some of the verified sources as well. So mostly it's good to check this information when you do the audit. And if you find something missing here, then the first step is to kind of solve for that. And then kind of go to the other pieces. But it's very interesting. We saw that there was a lower overall sentiment that was being mentioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pick out how the tool has identified. Again, it's not making up anything. It's got the information from hundreds and hundreds of queries run and follow-up queries run and what the models are saying. And then this is a synthesized report, right? It's important to understand that the tool does not have an opinion of its own for obvious reasons, but it does kind of structure things such that it is easy to adapt and understand for the marketing fraternity per se. So there are certain set of strengths. All of the announcements have been captured, strong EPC capabilities in India. So the tools probably said that it was a very strong EPC contender. So it's kind of identified that as a top marker from those hundreds of prompts, comprehensive offerings, and then it has come to the vulnerabilities. Perception is influenced by broader industry challenges in India, such as policy uncertainties, competitive pricing pressures, impacting project timelines and returns. So, this is obviously a highlight by an analyst or a journalist, which has been picked up. Remember what I told you about the Reddit thread? So, your PR agency has to kind of work hard here, and you have to countermeasure this by saying, of course, everybody has competitive pricing challenges, right? Nobody's without a Golgappe wala also has competitive pricing challenges, but the company has possibly not released information on how it is dealing with those challenges. It's like PR 101, or the model hasn't read it, whichever ways. Limited brand recognition and independent market perception outside of India. Perfectly fine. They're an Indian company. They haven't ventured outside of India. It can be ignored. Potential impact from intense price competition in the Indian solar market. Again, this narrative has been built by analysts and journalists, is my guess. I obviously haven't gone and searched for it, but is my guess. And it has not been rebutted properly by the organization, which is why this is coming up as a potential gap. Should be worrying for the CFO in case they're going public. It gives you a synopsis. This is global information. We'll ignore this for Mahindra because it's not present in the global market. But if you're a global organization, US counterpart is doing really, really well, it would be good to benchmark where you're at against the US counterpart and figure out why they're doing better and we are not, or vice versa. So I'll if you have any questions, please kind of let me know. Now we're looking at comparative analysis
There is
across.
hand raised from Garika.
Yeah, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask.
Hey Garika, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Hi, thank you so much for the insightful presentation. It's really helping my case. So, one of the reasons as to why I'm putting across these questions is because I represent PR Newswire. I had a division called Managed Services here, and one of the major deliverables from my end is to write press releases, and of course to make sure that it's AEO, GEO, AIO, and LLMO optimized, right? So my question to you is, if we do write press, if my clients feature or write press releases in the mentioned formats that I did, is there any chance that they would be cited by AI engines, or does the chance increase? Or like I have been guiding my clients to be more consistent with their press releases, and we've had seen some instances where they were cited by these AI engines. So is this a practice that we need to continue doing, or is there
Yes,
anything that you would want me to adapt?
a very good question.
Thank you.
Um, the format is as important as where the press release lands. So the link that is going to be cited will be cited for two reasons. Right? One reason is that the content is legible and AI models can trust that content. Second is that the source, which is the link, like you wrote a press release, you wrote it wonderfully, that's great. Went and landed up in Lokmat or some e-newspaper which doesn't have some digital piece. It's kind of not helpful, right? So it has to be relevant. A financial query, money control will show up faster. A technology query, a computer today will show up faster. So AI models now they go for remember how I'm not sure how old you are, but when I studied um, journalism at that point
Yeah.
in time,
Mhm.
yeah, it used to be proximity, right?
Sure, sure. Yeah.
And relevance. So if your link where the press release is appearing is relevant, indexable, written in the right way, it should be cited.
Great. Thank you so much. I do have another follow question. Am I allowed, or is there
Yeah, yeah,
anybody
please
else
do.
that would?
Please do, please do.
Great. So I have been studying, I'm a bit of a nerd also. So I keep studying how brands internationally and in India are writing press releases that would cite the visibility of these AI engines. And currently, the format that we've been following is a headline followed by a subhead, followed by key pointers, in order to make sure that we are abiding by the inverted pyramid style, and our stakeholders getting to see and know what's visible in that. And one more thing we've started introducing is the use of FAQs, specifically for product related releases, with specifically with regards to technology companies, and that has been giving us some good results. So I just needed to understand, is that a practice that we could keep doing, or is it overdoing it? Would you have any idea about it?
Sure. So it's called the EEAT format. I mean, you can look it up on the internet. It has 22
Sure. Yeah.
parameters to a structure of a good content that can be cited by AI. Okay. Some of it you already mentioned, so you're on the right track. And yes, FAQs for now are helping. We are hearing things that they're going to go out of style very soon, but for now they're perfectly okay and they're actually needed. So looks like everything is going right. I would say that audit the structure. If you have the TLDR summary, it's not repetition, right? It should be absolutely clear. If it is readable, understandable content, it is very, very helpful. And AI models kind of absorb that really well. Unfortunately, with different experience of writers in the market, a lot of times when uh, you write, particularly when you used to write for SEO, right? You just dump everything. There are spelling mistakes.
Correct.
Some
Yeah.
point starts somewhere, it ends somewhere else. You open a question, you haven't addressed the answer. So if there is confusion in the content, then there is a problem. And the pointers in the beginning for everybody else also who's writing blogs today, right? You have website blogs and all of that. That structure is really, really important. Okay. And I'm going to use like 1 second to make like a commercial pitch here that if you were subscribing to NeuroRank, you just get a playbook and implement it. Okay. So
Yeah,
it
of course.
has the
After this
structure
webinar,
because, yeah,
sure.
it's complicated.
Sure.
So the structure will make a difference, but where it
Yeah.
is being featured will also make a difference. And to follow up on that, for all the brand leaders who are here, your blog should have technical SEO. So if you just do the technical SEO on your blog with the 12, 13 schema stacks, which might be necessary, and make those changes, you will see a 15-20% lift automatically. And this that should be done. It's helps index the content a little bit better. So I'll come back. This is the competitive analysis. We already went through this. This is far more in detail. If you click on the Get Insights button, the tool is actually going to tell you why the recall is medium and why it's not digital first. And the answer is going to kind of land at the bottom, and you can ask as many questions as you like and get more insight. So it's kind of, again, read the data and answered your question. Why medium? Why trust ratings are high, even though recall is low? Why is it that recognition is lower compared to competitors? So it's given that and cited extra links as well. So like I said, it has like tons of data every time it runs an audit, and it's able to kind of answer your questions talking to that data. If the answer exists in the data, it should be able to give you. So it's really helpful to kind of make a case or improve what you're doing if you already have a strategy, or kind of build one, and then it just kind of color codes. This part is simple. We'll go to search intelligence. Currently, it's just pulled out 21 prompts. A brand in a solar category, which is one of the fastest growing categories that there is, would probably have like 300-400 prompts. You'd get that in level 2 in model preference engineering. This is more to just kind of give you an idea of where things are wrong or where things are right. 21 queries it has pulled up, and it is saying that there are 4 visibility gaps and 5 queries where there is a hallucination. It's kind of gone across categories of products and services. And what it does is it pulls out a query, and then from the follow-up questions, it also captures the follow-up questions, right? Would you like me to tell you when the AI model kind of asks a follow-up proactive question? That's also captured. For ease of use, it is structured by the tool as a prompt cluster. A prompt cluster has a hero prompt and up to 10 sub prompts depending on the category. Sometimes there are 5, 6, sometimes there are 11 also. It just depends on what kind of questioning happened by the AI model. It's all automated. So these are the prompts. Typically, you'll get like hundreds and hundreds of prompts. It tells you um, misconception: Mahindra Sustain only focuses on solar projects without engaging in wind energy, which is new. They're across renewable energy sources, but it's only capturing on talking about solar, right? Confusion about services, all of it looks like a readability problem. Now, this is the real sandbox, and this is where the actual information kind of really starts. It is a sample of 10 prompts. 5 had high inclusion, probably branded prompts. 4 had medium inclusion. 1 had low inclusion, and 0 prompts were clear, which means like absolutely said, okay, Mahindra Sustain is the best. Top companies to partner with for renewable energy projects in India. Mahindra Sustain is recognized, but not amongst the top mentions compared to leaders like Tata Power, Adani, Green. So, and it's kind of run all the prompts. You could also deep dive and get insights. Um, Far more detail would be available in like a model preference engineering. Again, this is tip of the iceberg, but it does give a lot of intelligence for you to be able to make a good case, or be comfortable that we're okay. This is not a problem. So it's kind of gone through these prompts, and you could deep dive and check. Um, each insight kind of uses one credit. It comes within those $7. So you don't have to really worry about it. We'll go to the brand battle card. I'm sorry, I know that I'm way off of time, but really sorry for that. It kind of checks on what is the value of the core product and service. If there was even one customer cribbing, let's say for any of these brands, then you would have a error on the core product and service. Apparently, no, there isn't a crib. Also, it's a very high price B2B brand, right? Each project is thousands of crores. If this was an FMCG, it would be a different matter altogether. Market presence unclear because projects are not listed till they are ready to be sold. Emotional brand recall is very low. Um, Campaigns, information, CSR not readable. CEO and leadership content is weak. Thought leadership content also seems weak. Prompt inclusion is still okay. It looks good, but there's no follow-up digital engagement by LLMs. Now, if you see the top, Adani and Tata are kind of doing really well here, but so is Renew Power, which is not necessarily a very large challenger brand as compared to the other stalwarts in that kind of category, right? So you can kind of deep dive into this information as well. Then there is a content visibility audit. It's checked out all of the assets of Mahindra. You'll have to provide that information when you start the audit. What's your YouTube channel? What's your website? What's the legal entity name of your organization? Not a lot, 4 5 fields. Website SEO and technical optimization is poor. No structuring, including. So in this case, SEO means your metadata tags, they're not adequate. Technical SEO is missing. YouTube content about projects is absent, which is true. Social media engagement strategy. This is not Instagram or that. It's more like Reddit, Quora, LinkedIn, those. Is sparse, not up to the mark. Customer testimonials and case studies are missing. Could be because it's a newer organization. Plot content focusing on renewable energy trends is missing, or maybe I couldn't read it. Local targeting for Google My Business and all of that is okay. Low fixed priority is low. Interactive content about energy savings calculators, all of that for education purpose, which is thought leadership. Remember, we saw that tab that's missing. Press releases few. Partnerships and collaborations are fine, few. It's a medium fix. Webinars absolutely absent. Investor relations and sustainability reporting is there, so that's a trust signal. It's light. It's a new organization. Fixed priority is not required. Backlink profile, domain authority less. Poor domain authority is also leading to that. So it's given kind of an audit here. It's also talked about technical visibility, particularly, and critical items there. Um, Underrepresentation, what is causing it? You can again get deep insights. There's an entire window. You can ask whatever is it that you need to. If it exists in your audit data, you'll get the answer in simple framing English. Uh, these are just suggested questions. You obviously can ask whatever is it that you like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to model preference engineering. I'll be really quick, just take like 5 minutes more. This is your main dashboard. Okay, we've been through the main dashboard. Now it's given 200 prompts, right? It gave 21 there. There are 180 keywords. I want to highlight this is not an India market. This is a UK market. I had mentioned earlier. There are more than 220 sets of runs which have happened. Each run is a couple of hundred. So this is potentially thousands of runs which are there. It has pulled out all the regional keywords, 8 plain sets, 142 discovery keywords, 0 navigational, which means it's kind of ignored how do I get to an Enfield showroom in Burlington or something. 38 transactional keywords. Okay. It's given average volume. We obviously pull this out of keyword planner. It's fairly simple. You would do the same thing. Um, Best adventure bikes, best tourers. So it's kind of categorized learning keywords, given search volumes. You can view all of the keyword details here. These are all current. When you run the audit, you could refresh them after a couple of months, depending upon whatever practice you kind of follow. It's covered all of the services. It's covered category as well. It's covered all of their products, including accessories. So when content is being written, you would know what is important to write about. Okay. There isn't much other purpose for these keywords to be there, but you have to write FAQs. And 75% of searches is still on traditional search mode, right? So it's important that whatever you do works for geo and works for SEO as well. So all the recommendations are in tune of that, which is why the keywords are necessary. Now these are the different clusters which are there. I'll just pick out one cluster. You could just view details of the cluster. You'll know what keywords it maps to, what are the supporting. Um, if you see, it's a bigger brand, so you have many keywords. You have an entire analysis here. If you run the analysis, so you have to choose how many clusters you want to work with. So let's say if I were a brand and I would say I want to work with youth appeal and motorcycles, hypothetically, I would run this cluster. Now it would run each of these prompts. It will do about anything between 5 to 10,000 prompt runs. It will go across UK, all the relevant locations, and kind of do these prompt runs incognito or fresh token methodology, get you all the answers of these prompts is step 2, and then kind of let you understand what needs to be done. So you could go to the cluster results. Okay. Vintage motorcycle, its running prompt outcomes are running very low. Some prompts are higher, any new vintage motorcycles for sale, but a lot of the prompts are not running very well. Why do riders choose Royal Enfield over Harley? Now, this is very interesting, okay? They have not written anything. Most of this has come from Reddit, which is why it's showing 100%. For some reason, Redditors kind of dislike Harley. Um, for some reasons now also in the UK, but it's kind of made that comparison there. Vintage motorcycles stand out, category prompts, they're not kind of ranking there, but some places yes. So each of the prompts you will get, you inspect the outcome and then you come to recommendation. This is the most interesting part of it. For one single prompt, vintage motorcycle exploration, it has recommended 90 fixes and 13 pending platforms where there are trust signals, but Royal Enfield is missing. Okay. So if you see here, it goes to brand website. It says priority is very high. There are 7 fixes which it has recommended. Content is not really up to the mark. Everything else looks strong. Long format is not there. Comparison articles are not there. Case study pages are not there. FAQ pages with schema is not there for this prompt, right? Location pages need to be updated with local business schema. FAQ pages, 5, 6 relevant FAQs. This is where in the same keyword, you remember the keywords also came in. So you need to kind of have your agency or your team incorporate those keywords and you'll be great. It has picked out what needs to be done on this is LinkedIn. There are fixes here. They have Reddit, they have YouTube specifically for this prompt. Okay. See, subreddit engagement, discuss valuation of vintage motorcycles in 2026, emphasizing how Royal Enfield models hold up against market trends. Just kind of read all those threads. It takes some time to do the audit, but it's really worth the wait. Metadata optimization, what to do on YouTube, what to do on Medium and Substack. Quora, it's given all the links. If you were to click on these links, you'd go to the supporting signals, which might be competitive or non-competitive. For the lady who asked the question previously, press media and earned, this is really important for you. Trustpilot, it's not in India, but in Europe and US, it works really well. So it's kind of said it's just a 1.5 trust score out of 5 based on only 65 reviews. So you can see the amount of detail that it has provided. There's no significant presence on G2 or Capterra, and no industry specific platforms were identified. So the platforms which are identified, the company has 1 star, which is that one issue. And because of that, there is a weak signal. There are PR campaigns, sign up on Hardo, quoted connectively. So it's given a lot of recommendations. Of course, it's always the marketing team's choice on what to act on. Machine readability, which pages from your website are kind of poor, on which areas, like video object is there but there's no video object schema. Google My Business AI overviews, what is missing, what you need to fix. It's a very long list. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you that there are kind of 90 recommended fixes for that one prompt. Normally what our clients do is they start with 1 or 2 prompts and let the agency do like a 30-day sprint. That's what we also do for whoever we are handling this for. We do a 30-day sprint, give all the recommended fixes on, let's say, first of the month, fix everything which is in order of priority, the most important ones, then the less important ones, and then, Reddit Quora kind of continue over a period in time. And by the 25th of the month, you should run the cluster. Let AI go and check, all the models, let them absorb your information, and you come to agent intelligence. And then you'll start getting, best vintage motorcycles to consider. You can get the mapping response. How has what grown? Okay. So after putting the pages, the comparison and the compete pages, let's say against Triumph, they start getting like 100% positive response. Also, you have to note this is a branded query. Branded queries almost always show up. A good brand will show up in branded queries because basic information lies. It's not like AI doesn't know us at all. It's not zero visibility ever. It's just poor or bad visibility. So it continues to run, and for each of the prompts, sorry for that, month on month. So this is April. Next month against this, you can see the growth, and you can generate graphs, or you can take the data and generate graphs. You can also download this report and then kind of do your own analysis, much like any other tool. And you have a master visibility dashboard as well, where you'll be able to see for that particular prompt your competition. Remember, this is vintage motorcycles. Um, Visibility report card, heat map, you can download from here, and you'll be able to compare on that particular prompt. How is it that you're doing as against the top competition for that product and that prompt? And your competition might change for, I mean, you're a multi-brand company, it might change for another product that you have, right? The only hard-coded thing is it has to be a single website. One license works on one website, and then you can choose to scale the number of prompts that you actually need or do not need. If there are any gaps where the recommendations are, if you see here, once I've made the fix, I need to go and say, okay, fixed, fixed, fixed. Recommended fixes right now is checked and said 0 are applied, after which it'll give you the insight whether it's applied properly or not applied properly. It's completely your choice. It's given the entire playbook in terms of order of priority. Everything that you need to do in terms of structure, again, the lady from the PR background asked a question on the structure. Yes, structure is very important. A lot of people make mistakes on the structure. You do all the work and nothing works, right? It it works because AI can read the information. It doesn't work because AI cannot read the information. Most of the time, we are not clear in the structure in which we need to write. The very specific structure, we'll share the examples. You can download it, just dump the playbook on your writer or your agency, and any which ways NeuroRank is going to check whether they did it properly or not. So there's no learning curve, and there's no hit and trial, and no flying blind. So that's great. So that is where I am at right now. Sorry, I have overshot so much. But I really, really thank you for your time. And I'd love to know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer that.
So I have summarized some of them so that we can.
Okay, yeah, I can see.
So Jatin and Rahul. So this is like a summarized question. What is meant by number of credits at the top? Why does sentiment vary across AI models? And is it limited to four AI platforms or we can track more?
Okay, so I'll kind of address that one at a time. When you buy a plan, any plan, one is the core plan, right? Like the license, $225. So out of which a certain amount, main amount is for license. But we also, there is so much information that we have, or the platform has. We want you to be able to choose what information you actually want. And it's an interactive platform. So some of that amount gets converted to credit. Credit is just like a counter, like you buy tokens at a fun carnival maybe. You buy tokens, so it gets converted. A couple of dollars will get converted into tokens, and you can use those basis what you want to ask. Now, why did we build this? Because we think that everybody doesn't need. You already have information overload, right? Anybody who has worked with a large team or an agency or a new project knows there's too much information. We don't want to put everything over here because then the entire objective is lost. For each of the notes, you can go and ask a question. You can ask the question, it'll give you only that answer. Or you can wait and ask the question like 10 days later when you're probably talking to maybe your client or your junior or your senior, and they have another question which you are unable to answer because it's a new genre. Then you can actually ask the tool, and it's kind of going to give you the right thing from the data. But it does take a lot of compute power, and which is why the credits exist, but you don't have to buy them separately unless you have like 10,000 questions. So you don't have to buy those credits separately. They'll automatically come in your dashboard when you do the audit and when you start using it. So you'll have that information from the credits. The second question was
It was around why it is
sentiment.
limited for A4 AI platforms and can we track more?
Um, I'll I'll give you good reason for why it is. We've currently taken four, including Google Gemini AI overviews. That's like 98% of the market, right? Later on, we will add Grok. Copilot is not really a platform. We haven't touched the Chinese models because we don't really um, focus on the Chinese market right now. It's a language market, but at some point we'll add them. But in terms of your user base, this is 99% of the user base. We are looking forward to add Grok when it has a decent API, but it's undergoing changes right now. You've all seen the news, but we will add that. This already covers all platforms like Copilot and all of that because they're not LLM platforms, right? They run on top of ChatGPT or on top of Gemini. So, which is why it's four. 98% of your consumer base is covered, if not more. That is one. Why is sentiment different across different models? It's a very good question. There are a couple of reasons, but I'll highlight two. The refresh rate of models is different, and every model's algorithmic behavior is different, which I am not privy to. It's proprietary to them, but they read things differently and they kind of make up their mind differently. They have models also have different biases. I'll give you an example. If you go to Claude at least 2 months ago and you ask which are the top five businessmen in India, and Claude will name everybody, will not name Gautam Adani. Self-created bias for Claude, too bad, but it is a problem. Um, we don't have a solution for that, but which is why we independently track each of these models across all the parameters, and their algorithms are different, and they have different weightages for different things. Their trust sources are also different. So what you saw in the recommendation layer, it combines all the sources from across the models, and the priorities are given basis If a source is cited as a trust source by all four models and it's a very highly rated trust source, it'll be a higher priority. And if it is an upcoming trust source or it, captured only by one model, or can be good to have. So that's how we've tried to kind of help. But that's the answer which I have.
Yeah. Next question from Reshma. And meanwhile, if you want to come on a mic and you want to ask any question live, you can also like raise your hand and we will unmute yourself. Next question is from Reshma, how we can control negative discussions impacting AI responses? And is there any benchmark score for these metrics?
Correct. So there was, in the beginning, I showed you a hallucination score. The hallucination score is only negative responses. That comes really at the top of the dashboard, right? Because it's super important for brands to kind of fix that. If you follow the recommendations which the tool gives, you'll be able to sort out that. Hallucination scores, it's possible to go from 80 to 0 in 5-6 months' time. For your particular prompt, you know, that the hallucination might be coming up for, because you have to go by prompt, right? You have to go by query. Like in SEO, traditionally, we used to go by keyword. So here also you have to go by prompt. Generically, you cannot do everything. It has to be a long-term thing that you invest your time and effort in. So you pick that prompt up. Within 60 days or 70 days, the score should come to 0 if you just follow the playbook and the recommendations. Hallucination scores are very troublesome, but they are fairly easier to solve because you just have to provide the correct information and it should be supported by the right trust signals. What that means is I can get up and, make a full website on how great I am. It's not necessary that AI will agree. Other people, Times of India, Government of India, XYZ, whatever my trust signals are, also have to say how great I am. Only then AI will agree, right? So it's basically like that. If you do everything right, and if the information which you are trying to correct uh, is actually false, then it should not be a problem. You can correct that information in 60 to 70 days.
There is hand raised from Jitin, so I'm unmuting him.
Yeah, please, Jatin.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself and you can ask Jitin.
Yes, yes. Yeah, hi Ambika. Good evening.
Hi,
Thank you for
Jatin.
the insightful session. Yeah, actually, I am from Vikram Solar and just wanted to know that, from a Pareto analysis point of view, where do you think, the 20% of our efforts should be invested in generative engine optimization so that we can, at least if we are on a scale of 0 to 100, we can at least achieve 70 to 80% of the results. So, where should the content be focused upon? I mean, in terms of content, our company is focused on blogs, LinkedIn and everything, but I would like to know the top 5 or top 6 efforts or sources towards which our efforts should be focused upon.
Very good question. Definitely your website. You're a B2B organization more than a B2C organization, is my
Yes,
guess.
yes,
So,
definitely.
yeah,
Yes, definitely.
I understand.
Similar to basically the list of organizations that we were looking at, new and everything.
Correct. I
Yes.
understand. I mean, you would
Yeah.
compete more with a Worry than with a Adani, maybe.
uh,
But
yeah, kind of.
yeah, no worries. So your website, definitely. Technical SEO, definitely. LinkedIn, yes. But I do want to highlight something. There is no method of blanket across the board fixing anything by 20%. Why I'm saying
Okay.
that is not because your sentiment is not in the right direction, because
Hmm.
that's not how AI models will work. अब मान लो
Hmm.
आप 0 पे हो, you come to
Hmm.
20%. Somebody
Hmm.
asks for a recommendation from AI, it will
Hmm.
name the top three brands.
Yes.
You are still not included. That 20% is of no use.
Mm-hmm.
Your point is that when a customer asks a question, AI should say Vikram Solar is an option.
Yeah.
But with 20%, you'll not get there. So that is
Hmm.
wasted effort, right? What I would rather do is don't work on everything. You look at your set of prompts, right? I'd showed you the prompts. You look at your set of prompts. You choose that if I rank top on these 4, 5 prompts, my lead or my customer influence will increase by 20%. So you choose, you know your customer the best. Is it for rooftop solar? Is it for RWAs and societies? Is it for large format projects? Is it for solar pumps? Is it where is it that your main customer is? Which is your customer who's searching on AI? Look at the prompts, see the 4, 5 things that they are searching on. Focus on that and do everything. तो होगा क्या, जस्ट लाइक वी यूज्ड टू डू फॉर एसईओ, राइट? 20,000 कीवर्ड में हम साथ में काम नहीं करते हैं. You choose the ones which make sense for you. First fix that priority 1, then fix priority 2, then fix priority 3, then fix priority 4. The good part is for GEO, when you do this, let's say you just follow the recommendations, your SEO will also increase. Automatically it will increase. Just fix the recommendations, within 2 months your SEO will get better. Because they're really smart recommendations. They're meant for a marketing point of view and they're created for your customer segment. Right? It's like having your own strategy team. So, but my choice is whichever direction you take, you fix what works for you the best. The top business contributor, those set of queries you fix first, then you move to something else. Don't do everything. But definitely fix your website. If that's what the tool says, that here are the things missing, definitely fix your website. That should be the one thing that you should do with or without anything else.
Okay, thank you so much.
Then we have the next question. Actually, yeah, Ratnesh is saying, I like the tool at first, lot of information to be concurrent. So if we can get a link to try that, will be great.
So thank you so much. I'm actually going to send out a link to everybody who's part of the webinar, along with I mean, it's just $7, but I'll still send a promo code so that it's even lesser. And it'll be valid only for a couple of days. So please go ahead, do your audit. If you need any follow-up questions from me, I'm happy to kind of talk to you on your audit and help you figure out next steps, completely pro bono. If your audit is done and you still need me to kind of guide you a little bit, or have any questions about where to go next, I should be able to help you there. After this, we will send out an email today. It's live. It doesn't take a whole lot. I already walked you through the tool, and all you need to do is go add client, put your website, put your company name, brand name, YouTube channel. That's it. Everything else you'll see the way that it was. It is for the level 1 forensic audit, the 9 dashboards. You'll get that. You can download that information as well. And then and next steps are over to you.
Anyone want to come on live and like they want to ask question?
Right. I see a lot of questions here. How can this work for B2B IT products? Very important. 97% of B2B people make a decision about B2B products using AI because we adopted it the fastest from a B2B perspective. So you should be able to kind of um, fix again, like the gentleman from Vikram Solar, from a solar, he was also from B2B. So if you would follow the same, pick out your top queries first, your best product first, answer all the questions around that. And there are a lot of queries. So let me give you an example of, let's say, Great HR, okay? Or Microsoft Azure is very big. I don't want to go there, but let's say Great HR. Example, the decision maker, the purchase person, the actual HR person, whoever is fixing and building new modules internally, and the employees who are using it. Everybody's asking queries on AI. Your entire ecosystem is asking queries on AI. So you have many, many, many queries. You choose the top ones. If your, attendance is your biggest selling module, then you just fix everything on that. And it will not take you very long. It'll just take you 3, 4 months to kind of be in a good place. Then you make the next choice. Then you make the next choice, right? But you'll have to follow a cadence. Any other questions? So very nicely, the link and the promo code Rohit has put in the chat, in the meeting chat. So feel free to kind of use that. I truly do hope that it helps. And if you do want to reach out to us, and kind of set something up, there is a contact form as well, that also has some information. Feel free to kind of reach out from the website, and we'll take it from there. If there are any other questions, I know I've overshot the time. I'm really sorry for that, but there are still a few folks here, and if you do have anything else that you need, then I'll be happy to ask it. How does AI content affect rankings, and can schema markup and FAUs help? Very good question. Yes. I can safely say that if your prompts don't have huge competition and you are working on long tail or niche prompts, and you follow the, okay, so I'll make it short. Follow the tool's guidance for, let's say, 3 months, you will definitely get a citation. अभी तो competition कम है. I might not say the same thing after 3 months, but people's websites are such a big mess and their content is such a big mess that anybody who's kind of going to get there, and start organizing themselves, then yes, competitor analysis is here. You can use the tool for other brands as well, but within your own brand audit, Jay, you will be able to get competitor analysis. You can ask a question in the credits. You will have the credits. You can ask the question, and you will be able to get inputs in terms of competitors. When you run the model preference engineering, you'll be able to see which links are being cited. So for example, if in the month your citation is cited links are just 3, next month if there are 4, you'll be able to see the growth as well. So we track the citations month on month as well. You will know competition, which links are tracked, non-branded, which is like TOI, money control, not competition. Generic website, which links are tracked. Your website, which links are cited how many times. So that's in the model preference engineering. But yeah, in the forensic audit, which is the little tip of the iceberg, you can use the competitor information. If there are any other questions, great. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We will send that email out, and a recording will also be available. If you do the audit, you need my help, I'm saying it again, just let me know. I'll be happy to walk you through it, and so that you can kind of decode your next steps, or present it better internally or externally to your client, or to your board, or wherever is it that you need to kind of showcase it. I'm happy to help you. And I wish you all the very best. And I hope to be able to kind of connect really soon.
Thank you, Ambika. Thank you everyone for joining today.